is just a review of volume of rectangular prisms with an extension into a triangular prism at the end. Last year, in elementary school, you learned how to do volume. And just a quick reminder, in this blue cube, it's divided up into lots of smaller cubes that are the same size as this yellow cube. So if this yellow cube is 1 cubic unit, the volume of the blue cube would be however many yellow cubes we can fit into it. And as you can see, I could continue to slide these in, and on the top row, if I continue to do this process, I can fit in 16 cubes. So far I've placed 8 cubes. And then I continue the process. It's like building blocks on in your house. That's 12 cubes. And another 4 cubes will fit here. So the top row is 16 cubes. So if I take that top row and kind of outline it, it's a little hard to visualize without a little sketch of that top row. That is a solid rectangular prism that has a volume of 16 cubic units. Going back to this picture, there's 4 levels of that same shape. So the volume of the blue figure is 4 times the 16, or 64 cubic units. In other words, if I look at that yellow slice, I can paste it over and over and over, and it would fit in to this blue figure each time. But as I do that, it's a little hard to visualize, so I'm going to leave it just on the top level. So the idea of volume is how many cubes can you fit into a box. Your book has a nice illustration of 3 prisms. This prism has 4 cubes along this edge, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cubes along this edge. So it's easy for you to see that there are 20 cubes altogether. So we say prism 1 has a volume of 20 cubic units. And the volume of prism 2 also has 20 cubes on this level. The difference is there's 2 levels. So the volume of prism 2 would be the 20 cubes on the surface times the 2 cubes representing 1 for each level, so 40 cubic units. In prism 3, you probably have already guessed, has 5 levels. So the volume is 20 times 5, or 100 cubic units. On the next page, we have see-through prisms. This prism has 4 cubes this way, a length of 4 by 3. So you can see there's 12 cubes in the green prism, because 4 times 3 is equal to 12. If I created a prism out of this that's 2 levels high, then the volume of this rectangular prism would be the 12 cubes on the base times the height. So this represents the area of the base shape. Times the height. And in our case, that's 12 times 2. So the volume is 24 cubic units. In this next rectangular prism, it doesn't show the cubes. But if you understand the idea, you look at the area of the base shape, and that is a rectangle drawn in 3D. So the area of the base shape is a rectangle that's 6 by 3 1/4. You can use old-fashioned multiplication or the area model to do that. So if I make that a little bit bigger, 3 1/4 times 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 1/4 is 3/2, which is 1 1/2. So that's 19 1/2 for the area of the base. And then we multiply that by the height. So the volume is 19 1/2 times 4 1/2. I can use the area model again for that. 19 times 4, 19 and 19 are 38. 38 plus 38 is 76. Half of 4 is 2. Half of 19 is 9 1/2. And half of a half is 1/4. Adding all of this together, that makes 78 plus 9 1/2. 87 1/2 plus 1/4 equals 87 3/4. Bringing that back up to the original picture here, that tells us the volume of this blue solid is 87 3/4 cubic units. In summary, to figure out the volume of a rectangular prism, you have two choices. You can find the area of the base shape and multiply by the height. The area of my base shape here was 19.5, and the height was 4.5. Or you can work it out, think of that as the length times the width times the height. And when I did the length times the width over here, I got 19.5, and I multiplied that by the height, which is 4.5. And that work shown over here told me my final answer was 87 3/4 cubic units. I think that's a good stopping point.